I'm torn on how I feel about the people on the train, because my first instinct is they did nothing. They did nothing. Then sit down and, you're going to be judged, so be careful on judging others. What would I have done? What would I want my wife to do in that situation?
Yeah, those are two different questions, by the way. I think
they are.
They go far apart from each other. I mean, what would I want myself to do? I mean, it's tough to put yourself in that situation. It's very easy to watch a video on the internet and talk about your heroism. Like, everybody can do that very easily on Twitter, and everyone is. When you're in a vehicle that doesn't have an exit, with a guy who just murdered someone in front of you, has a dripping, blood off of a knife that's standing 10 feet away from you, 15 feet away from you. There is probably a different standard there that we should all kind of consider and maybe give a little grace to. What I saw, at least, was a woman sitting across the aisle. I think there is a difference there. But when you talk about that question, I think those two questions are definitive. I know what I would want myself to do. I'd hope I'd act in a way that didn't completely embarrass myself afterward. But I also think, when I'm thinking of my wife, my advice to my wife would not be to jump into the middle of that situation at all costs. Now, she might do it anyway. She's actually, probably a heck of a lot stronger than I am. But she might do it anyway. But that would not be
pathetic, but how true.
Yes. That would not be my advice to her. Now, maybe, once the guy is out of the area and you don't think the moment you step into that situation he's going to turn around and decide to kill you too, then of course, obviously, anything you can do to step in. Not that I think there was much anyone on the train could do. I mean, I don't think that there was an outcome change no matter what anyone on that train did, unfortunately. But would I want her to step in? Well, of course, if she felt she was safe, yes. But man, I even think about, you said your wife, think about your daughter. Your daughter's on that train just watching someone else getting murdered like that. Would you advise your daughter to jump into a situation like that? That girl sitting across the aisle was somebody's daughter. I don't know, man.
As a dad, would I advise? No. As a human being, would I hope that my daughter or my wife or that I would get up and at least comfort that woman while she's dying on the floor of a train? Yeah. I would hope that my daughter, my son, that I would. And, I have more confidence in my son or daughter or my wife doing something courageous more than I would. But I think I have a more realistic picture of myself than anybody else. And I'm not sure what I would do in that situation. I know what I would hope I would do, but I also know what I fear I would do. But I would hope that I would have gotten up and at least tried to help her, help her up off the floor, at least be there with her as she's seeing her life, spill out in under a minute. And that's the other thing we have to keep in mind.
Yeah.
This all happens so rapidly. A minute will seem like a very long period of time in that situation, but it's a very short period of time in real life.
Yeah, you watch the video, Glenn. I don't need the video to change my position on this, but it does seem like there was someone who did get there eventually to help, right? Like I saw someone seemingly trying to put pressure on her neck.
They tried to.
Yeah,
and tried to give her CPR, and
no hope at that point. But how long of a time period would you say that was? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know. I know that we watched the video that I saw. I haven't seen past 30 seconds after she is down, and for 30 seconds nothing is happening. And that is not a very long period of time,
right?
In reality,
especially I saw the pace he was walking. He certainly can't be. He may have left the actual train car by 30 seconds to a minute, but he wasn't that far away. Like, he was still in visual. He could still turn around and look and see what's going on at that point. So certainly still a threat, I guess, is my point. He has not like left the area. This is not that type of situation. I look, as you point out, I think, if I could be super duper sexist for a moment here, sort of my dividing line might just be men and women. I don't know if that's a you're not supposed to say that, I suppose, these days, but there is a difference there. And if I'm a man, I would want my son to jump in on that, I suppose. I don't know if he could do anything about it, but you'd expect at least a grown man to be able to go in there and do something about it. A woman, I don't know. Maybe I'm
here's the thing that that causes me to say, no, you should have jumped in. And that is, you've already killed one person on the train. So you've proven that you're a killer. And anybody who would have screamed and got up and was with her in there, she's dying, get him. Then the whole train is responsible for stopping that guy, And if you don't stop him after he's killed one person, if you're not all, as members of that train, if you're not stopping him, the person at the side of that girl would be the least likely to be killed. It'd be the ones that are standing up and trying to stop him from getting back to your daughter or your wife or you.
There was a video, speaking of men and women's and their roles in this, there was a video that was circling social media yesterday, in Sweden. And it was a group of officials up on a stage, and one of the main, I think it was a health official woman, collapses on stage, completely passes out. All the men kind of look away, or I don't know if they were looking away or pretending like they didn't know what was going on. There was another woman standing directly beside the woman that passed out, immediately springs into action. Jumps on top, grabs her pant leg, grabs her shoulder, spins her over, and starts providing care. What did she have that the other guys did not, or women? She was a sheepdog. There is and this is my issue, and I completely agree with Stu, I completely agree with you. There's some people that do not respond this way. My issue is the proportion of sheepdogs versus just people that don't really know how to react. That is diminishing in Western society and American society.
Yeah.
We see it all the time in these critical circumstances. There are men and women, and it's actually a meme, that fantasize about hordes of people coming to attack their home and family. And they sit there and say, I got it. You guys go. I'm staying behind while I smoke my cigarette and wait for the hordes to come because I will sacrifice myself. There are men and women that fantasize of block my highway. Go ahead, block my highway. I'm going to do something about it. They fantasize about someone holding up a a convenience store or something because they will step in and do something. My issue now is that proportion of sheepdogs in society is disappearing. Just on statistical fact, there should be one within that train car, and there were none.
Yeah, I mean,
they did not respond.
And we see what happens when they do with Daniel Penny, right? Like our society vilifies them and tries to crush their existence. Now, there weren't that many people on the train, right? Like at least on that car, all I could see in the pictures, and again, it's limited, but I only saw maybe 3 or 4 people there. There may have been more. I agree with you, though. Like, you see what happens when we actually do have a really recent example of someone doing exactly what Jason wants and what I would want, a guy to do, especially a Marine, to step up and stop this from happening. And the man was dragged by our legal system to a position where he nearly had to spend the rest of his life in prison. I mean, it's insanity.
Well, the
Thankfully,
difference between
we
that
came to
one
our senses on that.
The difference between that one and this one, though, is that the guy was threatening.
Yeah.
This one, he killed somebody.
Right.
So,
well, I think but it's the opposite way. I mean, the debate with Penny was, should he have recognized that this person might have just been crazy and not done anything? Maybe he hadn't actually acted yet. He was just saying things, and he didn't wind up stabbing someone. This is a situation where these people have already seen what this man will do to you even when you don't do anything to try to stop him. So if this woman, who's, again, looks to be an average American woman across the aisle, steps in and tries to do something, this guy could easily turn around and just make another pile of dead bodies next to the one that already exists. And whether that is an optimal solution for our society, I don't know that's helpful in that situation.